currently experiencing are the main cause for the surge in malaria cases. The World Health Organization says the COVID-19 home tests can help decrease the low COVID-19 data collection rate in most African countries. The news. The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Phila Buthelezi, says nothing has changed on the announced date for the disbursement of student assistance allowances. The minister says this is disappointing to see students holding protests on issues touching on allowances. The minister has been speaking during a press meeting on Tuesday.
Last week, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security issued informing all students studying in local institutions that the payment of student assistance allowances is on course and will be paid on the 30th of this month. On Tuesday, during a press meeting, the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Phila Buthelezi, said nothing has changed. Students will be paid their allowances as scheduled.
Siwabona nje protest actions. Umuntu utsakakhumbutele lokho ukuthi litiko a few days ago likela khipha statement lesishoko lokho ukuthi sitawube sibhadala personal allowances as well as book allowances on the 30th of January, which is the end of this month. Kusete lokushinjile kuloko konke kusahamba ngelihlelo, and that is for batawuqala ku receive ama allowances abo mhla kusukela tingemashumi lamathathu kuBhimbidvwane. Kuma first years asikubeke lokho ukuthi ama first years asikakhona ukuthi so accommodate kule nyanga. Ngesizathu sekuthi lama tertiary institutions asengal invoice litiko kusho ukuthi bantwana leba ba admitile ngonaba labakhona tindleko tingakanani. So ema first years siselinze kona ama tertiary institutions siyanxusa lokho ukuthi akamane asheshe asivedelela ama invoices ama students la ngema first years kuze sitawukhona kuqala.
The minister further encouraged students to venture into technical and professional programs. The minister says currently the allowance absorption rate stands at 91%. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkel Suekoza with Muslim Konta, Babane.
On another note, the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Phila Buthelezi, said the government has opened application for students who want to enroll in postgraduate certificate education. The minister says this follows the closure of application for other students set down for their exams.
Sibena bulukhuni ukuthi timali abese ti exhaustekile njengoba siqala sithanza kuqedza ne intake yalaba yofundza ka SADC eSouth Africa, Zambia, Namibia. Bekunalo bulukhuni ngekuba bede kwetimali ukuthi ngabe sesidabathini. Kodwa ke lesisa sikubeke njengoba silapha kusho ukuthi uhulumende wembube kukhona la sakwetama ukuthi ba accommodate labo bantwana despite ukuthi ama deadlines besekendlulile kodwa nje ke ngokuthi uhulumende lo sinakekelako sive sengonyama kukhona lo sekuzanyiwe kungaba kusho ukuthi laba labaqedze ku 2020-2021 academic year can apply kusukela the 31st of January, which is Monday next week, until the 4th of February. Lokungilesihlanu evikini lelitawo. Ngelo fastelo leselivuliwe kwekuthi litiko manje likhona ku-accommodate laba bantwana bemaswati labafisa kuyofundza iPGCE. Kodwa ke sisa sikubeke lokho ukuthi going forward litiko selitawubuyela emithethweni nasemgomeni lemile yelive kuma-study laws. Le umgogodla lomkhulu kuwo ngilolothi nangabe siku-sponsorishile, sikunikile study loan, bawenta i-degree. For you to be eligible for a new loan, you ought to have paid for the previous award loboyitholile. Lokusho ukuthi going forward, nangabe ufisa kuyowenta i-PGCE or any postgraduate certificate, kutawufuna vele uqale ubhadale le degree lobo ubambiseke kuyo kuqala, njengoba lo mthetho usho njalo.
The Minister for Health, Liz Nkosi, says the excessive rains in the country is experiencing causes the surge in malaria cases. The minister says programs that are meant to curb malaria are slowed down by the rains, even when they spray homes in different parts of the country where malaria is prevalent.
The Kingdom of Eswatini is among the few countries that are doing well in the fight against malaria. However, the country has recorded an increase in cases of malaria. When responding to questions as to what causes the surge, the Minister for Health, Liz Nkosi, says the excessive rains that the country is experiencing causes the mosquitoes to breed. Nkosi says some of the programs to spray homes in a bid to kill the mosquitoes that causes malaria are unsuccessful because the chemicals are washed away by the rains.
Timvula tibe tinengi kakhulu. La ngaphandle kusale emanti lapho mosquito bese ubreeder masinyane khona. Kusho ukuthi nalokufutha nangabe nifutha kaniliyana lo muthi uhamba nalamanti masinyane, uhamba nalemvula masinyane. So ningayitholi le benefit yalokufutha. So inkinga yethu lenkulu kube ngileyo challenge leyo. Yekuthi noma kufuthwa bekungabi effective. Kodwa siyafuna sichubeke sihlale lembili kulamavela ngi-8 lataw eliminate.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simon Zwane, says the ministry is working on engaging the National Malaria Program to find out if the ongoing programs are still relevant. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, with Mozim Konda in Mbabane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, John Hlophe, says the government of Eswatini is prepared to assist the Maswati students to study locally and outside of Eswatini. He says
in the Ministry of Labour, John Hlophe, says they are happy with the applications they received. Hlophe says government identified a number of universities outside of the country in a bid to provide different skill sets.
Points ngekuthi lo mntwana uphase kanjani baseleke bathathwa nabala bathathwako cha mina ngijabulile njenga-PS looking ukuthi eminyakeni besiye simikise abantwana labangakanani sibuke ngaphandle kwelive ema-university ekatawuniketa ema-course leside wona la mane ngingena lama UJ unabo Cape Town bo Western bo Polokwane you name it. Hulumende ulungele kubhadalela abantwana baniketa umfundzate even la ngwane nangaphandle kepha-ke siyabona ukuthi bantwana sebaphasa kakhulu baningi nabo kumendeke uhulumende ngoba phela sisuka COVID.
Hlophe says in South African University, government received over 200 applications. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni in Mbabane.
Using the COVID-19 home test by African countries can help decrease the low COVID-19 data collection rate in most African countries. This was said by the Health Promotion Officer at World Health Organization Eswatini, Dr. Kevin Makatsange.
European countries started using the COVID-19 home test system last year. In the African region, Health Promotion Officer at the World Health Organization, Eswatini, Dr. Kevin Makatsange says, using the COVID-19 home test can help African countries minimize the underreporting and low test rate.
Something that would be good is, as Africa, we can also actually adopt that. But then there are things that needs to be put in place before we can do that. And there are the issues of the testing kits themselves, so that we can actually give people to go and test themselves. That's one challenge. Then the other challenge will be actually if when people have tested themselves, how do we capture now the results and actually get them reported? That would be another challenge. But if we manage to put those logistical issues in place and people actually sensitized and people willing to test, it will really improve even our testing rates and then linkages of people to care.
Director of Health Services in Eswatini, Dr. Vus Makakula says, Eswatini has to work on the logistics of this testing method first before the country starts using it.
It will be a good thing to have those tests, but then you know the problem, the logistical problems involved. First of all, WHO is not yet recommended it. I'm sure they're in the process, maybe at the will, but at the moment they're still looking at it. Before anything is recommended, it has to be tested and checked so that we don't get false results and things like that. So it is not yet. Also, I know very well for sure that in some parts of Europe, people even when they go to work on a daily basis, they are testing. So if I come to work, in the morning I test so that it will be known that I tested negative in the morning. I have not infected any of my colleagues at work. We wish we could have that. We wish we could come to that level also. But then, you know, logistically, it may be a serious nightmare.
Assessment by the World Health Organization shows that only 14.2% or 1 in 7 COVID-19 infections are being detected in the African region. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkel Suekoza with Muslim Konda and Vumikosin Sinisa Babane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Tulani Mkhaliphi, says government has started patching potholes and widening the road on the sides from Mochane
to Peak is narrow and full of potholes and is currently under maintenance and patching of potholes, clearing the road on the roadside to allow space and free movement of cars. We asked the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Tulani Mkhaliphi, if they are reconstructing the road or it is just maintenance.
The maintenance on the shoulders of the road is actually part of the maintenance program that we are currently on. We are not enlarging the road per se, but we are currently looking for engineers to reconstruct the road. The designs are ready, everything is ready. And I think we will get back to the public to tell them when we will start the reconstruction of the road. But once we have secured finances. But of course, I think what you are seeing, as I've said, the maintenance on the shoulders is part of the maintenance program that we are carrying out on the road.
Mkhaliphi pleads for patience from Emaswati as government maintains roads in phases. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Mochane.
The Eswatini Railway CEO Nixon Dlamini has warned thugs who steal the Eswatini Railway property to refrain from doing that because that would result to arrest and jail time if found guilty. Mandabane residents reported people who steal railway lines, which has become a norm in that area.
Mantabeni residents tipped the news crew of certain people who steal railway lines, which has become a norm in that area. The residents were concerned because in as much as it may be old, it is still government property. The news crew visited the place and indeed the railway line have been cut and it is an ongoing. No matter how old it may be, government property is still government property. It doesn't have to be.
ngiyamangala ngoba nala siyithola khona kunebantu nje labafike batijubele sipolo sahulumende bentaliqala lelikhulu kakhulu phambilini kukhona vele lebake ngoba siyayilandzelela lenzaba nalena nje sengidayilandzelela ngife ukuthi kuze banikwe ngubani ngoba phela nangabe into yahulumende impahla yahulumende kuphuma ufuna ukwende lolu tholakele analeyo mpahla yaloliwe utawuchaza sene kumanje ukuthi uyithethephi nekuthi uyiniketwe ngubani siyalandzelela ke vele ngixwayisa nje lesive lesihamba basiye ngakuthi ungamane nje utitapele empahleni yahulumeni ukuthi bayabadukisa umthetho utawuhlangana nabo.
He says it is expensive for government to purchase such equipment, regardless if someone thinks that it is useless at that particular time. While asking for directions to the said place, those who gave us directions had the impression that we were also going to get a piece of the material, as is always the case. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Emantabeni.
The Women Farmer Foundation's Farming Projects Administrator Nkosinathi Dlamini says the youth in the country should adopt the tunnel production style of farming, which will allow them to be able to continuously harvest the same crop. Dlamini
Foundation launched a tunnel production project last year with the aim of capacitating youth agripreneurship in Eswatini. According to the Women Farmer Foundation's Farming Project Administrator Nkosinathi Dlamini, crop production under tunnel and nets are the only option to mitigate climate change. Dlamini says tunnels are ideal for areas in high fold, while nets are suitable for places with warm temperatures.
Kufuthumele kanzi e-Highveld siyathi kuse ama-temperatures avamisa kuba low lokwenda kusi bese usakhona ukulima debit for throughout the year. Kanzi ke nasona lama tunnels uyakhona ukuthi noma ngabe kuyabanza uyakhona ukuchubeka ulime ngoba kuhlala kufuthumele la ngekhathi. Kanzi ke nangabe usenza
Officer says the mandate and the vision of the project is to curb unemployment among the youth and also provide smart agricultural measures.
So with this tunnel production, we're trying to curb that those statistics actually of youth unemployment and alleviate poverty in the country. So what is going to bring that about? It is food security, whereby these tunnels, they yield more production or productivity than normal or conventional farming. So that is basically the reason what made us as the foundation to stand up and look for funding for such tunnels.
The tunnel production project housed 18 youth and applications for the current year are already opened. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangini in Sitfogotfo.
Viewers, and now take a look at our financial updates.
Can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV, and here are your sports news tonight. Royal Leopard head coach Edwin Matsebula says their first leg victory advantage of 1-0 against JS Kabylie from Algeria at Mavoso Sports Center will boost their confidence as they head in the second leg this coming Thursday. Matsebula highlighted this during a short briefing at Ngwenya border.
The CAF Confederation Cup playoff match between Royal Leopard and JS Kabylie from Algeria ended Leopard leading 1-0 on home soil in November last year. The second leg could not take on then due to the coronavirus pandemic that affected mostly travel restriction for Royal Leopard. Ahead of their second leg game in Algeria, goal advantage at home soil will boost their confidence in the second leg.
I-advantage yalelo goal lesinalo lekufuna nasifika lesikhanza kumadima sifele kulo sife nalo, so there is no reason ukuthi mhlawumbe singasuka la siyodlala an open game e-Algeria. Vele will be very cautious, mhlawumbe siye kuyishintsha i-game plan kuphuma le simo, otherwise yona akusiyo igame letawamele a tough game. yabo ngeke bahlale bangabi more dangerous.
Captain Muzidlamini says this is the right opportunity for them to make history and reach CAF competition group stages.
Ngicabanga ukuthi seyitrek esikhathi lesithi, but ngicabanga ukuthi lokho kube-advantage kithi because sikhonile ukuthi silungise ukuthi siwina njani le mbili, because vele ngicabanga ukuthi sesigejeke kangi-2 nyalo seyi-chance yethu ukuthi siqualify to the next stage.
Leopard will need to win the game or play a draw, which will grant them a position in Group B alongside the likes of Orlando Pirates from South Africa. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini.
Manzini Seabirds director Sicelo Mkhonta says the club's objective this season is to try and finish above the 4th position in the current MTN Premier League season. Mkhonta was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports in Babane.
Manzini Seabirds Football Club is one of the current best clubs in the ongoing MTN Premier League season, where they have collected so far 22 points in 12 games and they are third on the log. Team director Sicelo Mkhonta says the club's objective is to finish inside top 4 in the current season.
Awuvele ku-3 plan yethu siqala nga-season 2018-19 lalapho khona sathi sifuna kuyongena ku-top 4 kwatholakala ukuthi siba ngu-number 6. Kanti iplan yethu vele ukuthi sigcine singenile ku-top 4 siyithatha nale carrot siphinde futhi noma kuphela isizini iphele silapha edulu ku-top 4 kuyiplan yethu nje lenze ngosi leqale ngalo 2018 kuze iminyaka wesithathu lona sicabanga ukuthi kulo mnyaka bekufuna ukuthi noma kanjani uyakhumbula la first round saqala ukudisturb kanye sesiyawucetha i-first round, after that sangasakhona ukuphikha kahle. Sizameke kulungisa lo nyaka ukuthi at least le achieve le goal yethu. Siyethemba kepha ukuthi kulo mnyaka hayi stay achieve le goal.
Mkhonto uphethe ukuthi noma licembu likhale phansi ngempela-sonto nalidlala nemilingo Spurs, kodwa-ke ithemba lisekhona ukuthi batawucetha bangetulu kwendzawo yesine ku-MTN Premier League. Kanti leli cembu kubheke ukuthi lidlale ne-Orlando Pirates emdlalweni walo lulandzelako. Lubikile umsakazi Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini eMbabane.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, let us take a recap of today's headlines. The Minister of Labour and Social Security says nothing has changed on the announced date for the disbursement of student assistance allowances. The Minister for Health says the excessive rains that the country is currently experiencing are the main cause for the surge in malaria cases. The World Health Organization says the COVID-19 home tests can help decrease the low COVID-19 data collection rate in most African countries. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Towns. Good night, Eswatini.